Guys, what is going on? My name is Ryan. I play chess and put my videos on YouTube. Today I wanted to continue my Beginner Chess Master channel playlist in talking about en passant. Now, what is en passant? It's one of the two special moves in chess, the other one being castling. It's a move that can occur only immediately after a pawn moves 2 ranks forward from its starting position, and an enemy pawn could have captured it had the pawn only moved 1 square forward. The opponent captures the just moved pawn as it passes through, which is what en passant means in French. It passes through the first square. The resulting position is the same as if the pawn had only moved 1 square forward and the enemy pawn had captured it normally. One of the rules about en passant is that the capture must be made on the move that the pawn moves 2 squares forward. For example, if this pawn moved like this and then we decided to go like this, and they did this, we can no longer do the en passant. Just to show you what en passant looks like, if you were to go like that, see this X right here signals that I can en passant here and capture this pawn. As the name implies, the conceit is that pawn, which ordinarily would only move 1 square at a time, cannot move immediately to a square 2 rows in front of it. It is thus vulnerable to being killed in its passing through the first square to get to the second. I think it's interesting to know some history about chess and whatnot. So basically, the chessboard is like if it were a real war. If one army moves a unit adjacent to the enemy army, it is likely to provoke a return fire from the enemy army. In chess, this fire is basically just the capturing of that pawn. But en passant is a compensation for a pawn being allowed to advance 2 spaces on its first move. A unit that marched at, in a war, if a unit marched at double time, it would probably rest halfway through its journey and then, resume marching on to its destination. So assuming that the army marches 1 square, rests, then tries to complete its march to the second square. But if there's an enemy pawn on the adjacent file, that pawn might start a duel with the marching pawn while it's resting. That would result in the enemy army, capturing the resting army. So that's some history that goes along with en passant. I think that the history of some of this stuff is interesting. Originally, it was only allowed to move a pawn 1 square at a time, but they found back in like the 1500s that this led to too slow of games, so they implemented a double move. And that's another thing about en passant is that, for example, it has to be on the pawn's first move in order to move 2 spaces ahead. So this can never occur right here. It's only on its first move when it moves to an adjacent file that we are able to capture it. I think en passant is interesting because it's the only move in the game that allows for a double discover check. And this is the only situation in which this is really possible. So for example, imagine this is the position. If they decide to move their pawn 2 spaces at once, thinking he's doing a double attack, and if we capture, he can just capture back with his king. But instead, it allows us a double discovered check, and this is the only time in the game in which this is allowed. He would just capture back the pawn, but again, the double discover attack is the only time this is possible in the game, which is interesting to me. Anyways, I hope you understand a little bit more about what en passant is, and I wish you the best of luck in your chess games. Goodbye. What's up, guys? Thanks again for watching my video here today. I really appreciate it, and if you have any questions about any specific moves or anything about the game, please leave them below. I'd love to answer those. And last but not least, if you got anything out of this video at all, or you just simply enjoyed it, I would highly encourage you to subscribe. It helps me out a lot, and that way you can, get in touch with any future videos that I put out. Anyways, have a good rest of your day, and good luck in your chess.